John here. Electricians need to know. Electricians need to know Zinsco breakers. Now, I recently sold my business and all the parts, or most of the parts, went with the new owner. So I found that I didn't even own a Zinsco breaker. So I had to go to CED in Roseville, California and ask Mark and the manager Mark and Mike at the counter if I could borrow a Zinsco breaker. So they loaned me this breaker so I could talk to you guys about setting it properly. Okay, when I first picked it up, I noticed that the bottom stab was looked about correct, about 80 thousandths. The top stab looked about 105 thousandths, and when I got back and measured it, I was pretty close. So I set the top stab with my gauge, and now they're both set at about 80 thousandths. Okay. The next step would be to take the oxidation off these contacts. Now, you don't want to use anything that's will cut metal, because you don't want to reconfigure the shape of the contact. You want a wisp. These little wisps. This one is a 2000. It will just kind of brighten up the contact on both sides, like that. Okay. And I can see the oxidation coming off on this thing. Yeah, definitely. Okay, now this takes the oxidation off. Now, you want to take the oxidation off, and you want to take it off the bus also. Now, there's a Zinsco bus that I had laying around in my warehouse since '04. It's pretty nasty. It's never been used. And it looks like it's seen better days. But I cleaned a couple spots right here so I can slide it on there. Now, you don't want to slide it on there without putting grease on it, because you don't want the connection to, when you slide this on, it'll spring the clamp back out of the connection. So we put a little grease on it to make it easier to slide on. Also, with the right clamp, it puddles around the clamp on the bus, and it takes the oxygen out of the connection. Now, we've found over the years that oxygen in a connection, like electrolysis in plating, it will oxidize the metal, and the metal, with the electron flow between the two metals, will deposit oxidation in the metals, and eventually the connection will fail. Okay, I make a little kit. It's at buskit.com. It's a little grease, some little wisps. Now, these wisps are just to clean the breakers. I make a breaker gauge, that metal thing there, and we make a deoxidizing bar, which is non-conductive. Now, I got one here. Non-conductive, and it polishes buses without reconfiguring them or taking the metal off. Now, this will clean lugs. It cleans a lot of metal, but it leaves the metal leaves the metal alone, and just polishes the oxidation off. Now, you want grease. You want to take a little grease, and it's an electrical grease. And you want to grease the bus, which is no big deal. Okay? Just a nice light coating of grease over the bus. And then when the bars are there and this thing clips in, pardon me, it'll clip in like that, and pretty much you have a really good connection. We know that the bus is a 125 thousandths, and the clamp is 80 thousandths, and so we know we're going to have a nice puddle of grease around that connection, and there won't be any oxygen in that connection, and it should last a very long time. And that's the way you set Zinsco breakers. And the bus kit is at buskit.com or shookelectric.com. The lint-free pads are in there to wipe the excess grease off and that kind of thing. So if you need a deoxidizer and you need some little wisps, now there's 4/4000th grit, and there's 4/2000th grit. So you can use the 2000 grit to take off most of the oxidation in a breaker, and then the 4000 just kind of smooth it down a little bit, and that'll clean that up. You want to use the deoxidizer on the bus to polish it off. You don't want to change the configuration of the metal with something like a 2000, because it will eat the metal up if you push hard enough. Okay, that is how to use a Zinsco breaker. Thanks. Okay, thanks.